AI. Joining us right now is Greylock partner Reid Hoffman, of course, the co-founder of LinkedIn, an early investor in OpenAI, co-founder of AI startup Inflection. He recently wrote a book titled Impromptu, co-authored with GPT-4, and it's a fascination and a fascinating read. Reid, great to see you this morning. I got about 1 million questions about this, but let's just start with the most recent news in terms of those who are calling for some kind of moratorium, temporary halt, or something else to the development of this technology. What do you make of that?
Well, I think there's a bunch of different parts to that response. I think a bunch of it's well-intentioned. I think the well-intentioned is kind of the question of, look, there's a bunch of different ways that AI can play out, and we should be attentive to obviously protecting against the downsides as well as the amazing upsides. I think some of it's a little bit less well-intentioned, like, hey, everyone else slow down so I can speed up. And this is, of course, one of the things where it's overall, I think, broadly a mistaken effort. Because actually, in fact, I think everything we've seen so far in the last few years of development is the best ways to get safety is through larger scale models. They actually train to align better with human interests. And so the call to slow down is actually, in fact, is less safe
Right.
than actually, in fact, what they're proposing.
Can you explain what seems like a split or rift between Elon Musk, who's now quite publicly out there as one of the folks asking for this temporary halt, and Sam Altman, of course, who founded OpenAI with him? And I think there's a lot of fascination trying to understand how that happened and what is behind all of that.
So I think they're both very well-intentioned folks. I do think that part of the thing that I think Elon tends to have I must build it with my own hands. You look at what amazing stuff he's done with SpaceX and Tesla, and it has the kind of like, it's only great if I do it. And I think Sam is more of the, hey, let's get a bunch of people involved in this. Let's have a distributed set of governance and power and control. Like, he's got a safety council, with the OpenAI side and a bunch of other things. And so I think that kind of like what the control and how it's driven is, I think, probably at its root. Obviously, in this, kind of divergence of opinion, I'm obviously much more on the path that OpenAI has gone, which is, how do we get other deciders and other people, and other kind of governance in the mix as part of what's very important about the issues as we develop this critical technology.
One of the big questions, really, for the world of content, I think, is how people are going to get compensated. On the web for so very long, content providers effectively didn't get compensated, but they could monetize what they were doing through search, because you could actually get people to come back to your site, and then you could maybe offer subscription or advertising or the like. With something like ChatGPT, at the moment, it's a one-way operation. And so the question is there a licensing fee that you think needs to go on top of being able to effectively train all off of this material? I often think of the idea that I could go write a book, and I could maybe buy 10 books, read those books. I'd pay whatever those books cost, or maybe go to the library and get them, but somebody paid for those books once, and then I could use that information in my book, and I would never owe them anything more than what I paid to see the book the first time. But this would be done on a massive scale, and what the business model should be for that.
Well, I think the business models in artificial intelligence are still very TBD. Obviously, OpenAI has a combination of these amazing things with, like, ChatGPT and the API structure, and I think it's to work out. Now, part of what OpenAI's whole mission has been for the decade that it's been operating is, how do you provide high-quality services and catalyze to other developer ecosystems that also have a lot of safety and alignment, and that's part of that joint mission, which is what makes it so important. And part of course, the deal with Microsoft is that Microsoft buys into that, and that's part of the reason why they work together. And so the business model, I think every 3 months, 6 months, we'll see some new interesting innovation, and I think it's hard to predict too early.